the sooner you can learn to face adversity, the sooner you can get over it. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Mindset Podcast. We are here on Zoom again we're doing the best we can during this quarantine. Thank you so much for supporting us through all this. And me and Anthony, we talk a lot about innovation, motivation, inspiration, things like that, very theoretical. But on this week's episode, we really wanted to touch on something that not too many people talk about. A lot of people talk about, the glory, the glamour, and the fame that entrepreneurs, have. But something that too many people don't talk about is the struggles that entrepreneurs go through. And that's something that every entrepreneur can, talk on, because that's, no entrepreneur, makes it overnight. It's a very hard and long process, and there's struggles, adversity that they go through each and every day. So Anthony, I know you've been going through something right now. I mean, you just got elected president of the Kendall campus. And I know, personally, we've talked about, and you've had a lot of effort that you've gone through during this. So can you just touch on that and, give us some advice and some experience that you've been through?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, there's been a lot of different things that I've gone through and I've had to adapt. One that I think is very important, and I think a lot of people will benefit from hearing me speak about, is early on in my journey of entrepreneurship, I struggled with time management. That's something that I didn't have any leadership, any guidance with. Nobody really taught me how to manage my time properly. So that's something that I kind of had to learn and take on for myself, right? I would do side hustles such as flipping, and I would spend like all day, 24/7 on that and different other side hustles that I've had before. And that impacted my life negatively, right? My grades would suffer, my relationships with other people would suffer, because I was focused too much on flipping, on selling things, on putting stuff on websites, what description it should have. It was too intense. So I learned that I had to take a step back and manage my time properly. I was also, yes, I was spending a lot of time with flipping, but I was also using my other free time on things that didn't matter, like being on my phone too much or watching movies and stuff like that. And then I would lose sight of my priorities. So my life was kind of a mess for a period of time. And I have other experiences in other situations, but I think the most important and the most valuable lesson I got out so far of my journey of entrepreneurship is you need to learn how to manage your time really well. Like once you master that aspect of your life, entrepreneurship is going to be a whole new thing for you. It's going to be very easy, or easier, I should say, than if you don't manage your time properly.
Yeah, no, I think that's something that every entrepreneur kind of goes through, especially early on. I mean, the same thing happened with me. My first stages in entrepreneurship, time management was a big issue for me, because juggling school, relationships, like you said, family, all that stuff, it was too much, and I was actually listening to something, a while back, and he was saying that the greater the position, the greater the responsibility. And it really hit home because, I mean, we're young, we're 19, 20 years old. And yeah, we have responsibilities, obviously, for, keeping our grades up, our side hustles, our businesses, whatever the case is. But for entrepreneurs that are, like the Elon Musks of the world, the Gary Vaynerchuk of the world, they have these very problems that we've been going through ourselves. But if you think about it, where they're at now, like they're on a whole other level of struggle. That's something that we as young entrepreneurs, we have to learn now and set the foundation now, because when those struggles get even higher in the future, it's going to be really tough to get around.
Sure. Something that I might add to that, Gabe, is that, I mean, this is really the juice of everything. This is the juice of life. Balance. No matter what, relationships, friendships, business, job, you name it, the key to living a happy, healthy, successful life is having balance. I mean, balance is essential. Balance is the concrete, and then the house is built on top of it. You need to have balance. That's synonymous for time management. You can't be doing too much of one thing, because then everything else is going to struggle. But you can't be spread out too thin. You can't be doing everything at once. You have to have balance, and that only comes with looking yourself in the mirror and seeing what are you strong at, what are you weak at, right? So you focus on your strength, and then with your weaknesses, you put other people, you delegate, you give those weaknesses, you use other people to kind of support your weaknesses, and there's a little bit of a balance. But I think that's essential, whether it's business, if you're not into business, still balance applies to you. Balance is essential to whatever you do. But that's pretty much it for time management. You have to be balanced. Gabe, what tips do you have for people that are on the fence about becoming entrepreneurs, right? They hear what I'm scared of, what I worry about is too many young adults like us. They see only the glitz and glamour of entrepreneurship, but they don't see the hard road it takes. So what advice would you give someone who's kind of on the fence? Like, should I try entrepreneurship, or should I go with the easy way and do maybe like a 9 to 5?
Yeah. I mean, as a young entrepreneur, I mean, my best advice to someone, I guess, trying to get into entrepreneurship and trying to get into their own business is, I mean, and we talk about this all the time, and it's failing, because like we're saying, the sooner you can learn to face adversity, the sooner you can get over it, the sooner you can kind of get better at it and get faster at it. Um, and I think I mentioned this on another podcast, but I listened to this video that it was this guy talking, and he was really sick of rejection. He was starting a new business, and he was, every time he would try to get a new client or new customer or whatever, he was always getting rejected. So he told himself, look, I'm gonna get 100 no's, and I'm gonna be okay with rejection, so that way when I do really start my business and I start getting even more no's and get rejections all the time, it'll be like second nature. Like it won't really mean that much, because he would always get down on himself. He would really get depressed or whatever the case was, and he wouldn't even continue on his business because he was so he was dwelling so much on the negativity and on the rejections and stuff. So it was really interesting. I mean, he would do like stupid things. Like he would literally go and like ask for like a free burger at like a restaurant, and like obviously the answer is going to be no. Like think like just things like that, like just
Yeah.
in your face rejection. Like he knew he was going to get a no, but he did that more psychologically to really train his mind to really emotionally accept a rejection, so that way when the real stuff came, when he was dealing with a potential client or a potential customer, and he was faced with a no, he could just brush it off, like it was nothing. And I think that's the best advice I could give to a young entrepreneur, because like you said, everyone's always hung up on the glitz and the glamour and the money, whatever the case is, and that's all they're focused on. But they don't really know what the flip side, they don't know the dark side of entrepreneurship, which we're talking about right now. So I feel like the best way to really train yourself and get yourself ready for entrepreneurship is by you know heading in, face first, diving in head first, into entrepreneurship, and accepting failure as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And that leads me to my next point really smoothly, right? You said that get comfortable with no, because it's gonna happen. And I think that's a very good point. You have to get comfortable with being rejected several times.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my next point, which is you need to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Like I said in this previous Mindset Monday, the more comfortable you are with being uncomfortable, the more successful you'll be. It's that simple. Like, we all want to be in our comfort zones. It's human nature. I understand. Like, it's our minds are wired to put us in the most comfortable environment, the most comfortable situation possible. Like, that's just how we work by nature. But you have to rewire yourself to step outside of your comfort zone. And that's where success is made. That's where you grow as a person. And stepping outside of your boundaries and trying new things, failing, getting comfortable with no's, like you said. That's where I think you become very successful. And that's a huge, huge part of entrepreneurship is getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, trying new things, failing now while you're young. If you're listening to this and you're in your 20s or in your teens, I mean, right now you should be trying everything at your disposal and failing at that. I would say maybe even trying to fail, if that sounds too crazy, but it's just getting used to rejection, like you said, Gabe. So that would be my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, and to go off on what you said, I mean, I feel like a lot of people that get into entrepreneurship, they get in for all the wrong reasons, whether that be money, fame, the cars, the houses, whatever they, whatever they think will come with it. And I'm not saying that that stuff doesn't come true. You know, if you do put your head down and go to work and, you know, be patient, you know, those things will come to pass. But for those people that are starting, you know, a business, or they want to get into entrepreneurship because they want to get rich quick, but when it comes to actually being an entrepreneur because you love the drive, you love the process, and you love everything that comes with it, even without the money, I think that that's something that really separates everyone, because, you know, we know what the struggles entail. You know, even if we haven't gone through it, we know, you know, what the future holds. And I feel like a lot of, like, nowadays, I mean, entrepreneurship is sexy. Like we always say, like everyone and their mother wants to become an entrepreneur nowadays, just because they know in 10 years they might get a fat paycheck. You know, that's, and I feel like, you know, for those people that are getting into this for all the wrong reasons, don't waste your time, you know, because that's a successful business is not going to be born out of, you know, money hunger. Entrepreneurship, I'm sure you can agree with me, is a bumpy road, you know. It's definitely not, you know, roses and rainbows like everyone thinks. So, I mean, that's what I got to say on that. So,
Sure. I mean, people need to understand that it's hard. It's hard. I mean, if it was easy, everybody would be a successful entrepreneur. I say, notice keyword successful, because everybody, like you said, Gabe, says that they're an entrepreneur now just because right now it's a cool thing to do.
yeah,
Like, you know, years ago, it wasn't cool to be an entrepreneur. Like, it was kind of like, it was, you know, you were like that weird kid or whatever. Now it's cool. The tables have turned. So a lot of people claim to be entrepreneurs, but I think what makes a successful entrepreneur is loving the journey, right? If there's a huge journey, like you said, a bumpy road that leads you to one day being successful. That journey, you need to love it, right? I heard someone say once that that journey to success is like the jungle, right? You're in the jungle. There's a lot of, you're exposed to a lot of different elements, to animals, and you got to be careful everywhere you step. You got quicksand, you got the rain. You know, there's a lot of things coming at you in a jungle. That's what the road to entrepreneurship is. And this guy who gave that analogy said, I never wanted to leave the jungle. Like once I was in it, I never really wanted to leave. Like you enjoy it. You gotta like enjoy that grind, that you know, that people tell you no. You gotta learn to love that, right? It sounds weird, like we're talking about it now. Someone listening might be like, "What do you mean you gotta love that? Like, don't you want to get to like the bright side where everything's good and successful?" Like, yeah. I mean, I know that'll come with, but you gotta love the journey. And I think so far, I mean, I've loved struggling to do different things, and the process and the work that goes into this podcast and the other different things that I'm involved in. Like I enjoy that. Like I like that. I really do. And I think at that moment is when I realized that I was made for entrepreneurship. Like I hopefully, fingers crossed, but I don't plan on ever working a 9 to 5. Like I don't want, I want to have liberty. I want to have control on my life.
yeah,
Not that there's anything wrong with 9 to 5s. It's just, it's not for me. It's not for me. So if I can continue to do this entrepreneurship thing and really expand that, whether it be in real estate or through this podcast or any other business that I start up in the future, I would love to do that. And I love the grind. You know, Gary Vee says that one day he hopes to buy the Jets, like that's his goal. But he said, Gabe, and you know this, that the day that he buys the Jets is going to be, yeah, a happy day, but it's also going to be one of the saddest days of his life, because that's the day when he knows that, you know, the journey is over, like he accomplished his goal.
yeah,
So that's the one thing, man. You really gotta enjoy the process, trust the process, and love rejection.
yeah. No, 100%. I love what you said there. And I mean, another thing to go off what we're saying now is a lot of people nowadays, they have it like this fake it till you make it mindset, which they want to kind of perceive. And obviously, it's difficult now with social media and all, you know, the news and everything. Like we said, so, you know, being an entrepreneur is sexy. So everyone wants to claim to be an entrepreneur. But yeah, and like what you said, it takes a lot to be a successful entrepreneur. You know, anybody can be an entrepreneur. I mean, just because you have, you know, entrepreneur in your Instagram bio doesn't necessarily mean you're a successful entrepreneur. You know, just for some people out there. And we're all getting better at it, you know, but you know, what you said, you have to love the process. You really have to enjoy the drive, the struggles. And for a lot of those people that are willing to, you know, take that jump, that leap of faith, you need to be willing to love the grind and love the process. Um, But to
Yeah.
get to our next topic, I really wanted to touch on, you know, psychologically, there's a lot of struggles for entrepreneurs that goes into this, business that we talk about. And I feel like a lot of people don't really know that. I mean, some entrepreneurs, like, they fall into deep, deep depression or anxiety or, even suicidal thoughts, like whatever they're going through. Everyone is different, obviously. Um, but mental health in entrepreneurship is really a huge thing, because it's really a lonely road. There's really not too many
Mhm.
people out there that are really going through it day in and day out. But a lot of people, I was listening to a video before we got on this call, and he was really saying that, I forget his name, but he was saying that one day it was like 4 a.m. in his office and he was just crying out. He was just crying because he didn't know what to do next. Sometimes, that's the case, like that's the situation that you're going to be in as an entrepreneur. There's gonna be days or nights, whatever, that you're gonna literally be sitting and you're not gonna know what your next move is, you know? And that's when you just gotta have faith and, trust the process, like we always say. But I feel like psychologically, entrepreneurs have so much going on. And I feel like that's such, a big thing that people struggle with, especially entrepreneurs. So what were you gonna say? I know you're gonna say something.
Yeah. Great points there. I don't think I know that at some point or all the time in entrepreneurship, in that journey to success, it's going to be very lonely, right? Let's face it. That's just the truth. People are going to start leaving you. Those friends that you thought you had, like your homeboys, your homies. Yeah, they're not so much. Um, the one thing I would say there is that you need to, and I know we talked about it last podcast, so I don't want to go too much into it, but you need to have a really good inner circle in general, but especially if you plan on going into entrepreneurship, which is very, very tough, very rigorous. You need to especially focus on having good friends around you. I can't imagine going through entrepreneurship or through any stage of my life without a good, strong set foundation of friends. Like without you and maybe like three other people, I don't know how I would do it. So
Mhm.
it definitely helps throughout the process. Like I said last podcast, when I'm going through something, when there's situations that arise, I know I can always count on you and call you 24/7. And same thing with the other three people in my family. So it's you might not have the luxury of having your family as a backbone, but you can definitely pick and choose some friends of yours that you can call up whenever, no matter what, and they will help you. That makes the process so much easier. Some guidance, some mentorship, right? People like Gabe looking at my situations in a different perspective that I might not see. That makes the whole journey so much easier. Will you feel alone? Yeah, you will. So that's why, like Gabe said, it's very important that you know how to manage that. And I just want to add on that you should have a good foundation, a good set of friends there.
Yeah. No, 100%. To go off what you said, like, I was kind of thinking as you were talking, and to be completely honest, I don't think I'd be able to carry out this podcast like by myself. You know,
Yeah,
I
I said that too. Yeah.
like, honestly, like, kudos to all those guys that are, have businesses and podcasts and everything like solo. But to be honest, like, having a person like you to really, feed off of and talk to and encourage each other, I mean, that goes so long, that it goes
Yeah.
such a long way. Because again, like, I don't know what our next step would be. We're always kind of, touching base. We're always running things by each other. And this is a perfect example of having, that strong foundation, that strong inner circle that you're talking about. Because when you face adversity, and you will face adversity, those entrepreneurs out there, it's so important to have someone, in your corner where you can go to and they'll speak life into your situation. You don't want, I know you mentioned it on the last podcast, but you don't want someone who's going to lie to you. You don't want someone
Mhm.
who's going to be like, hey man, you're good. Don't worry about it. Go get them next time. Like, everything's going to be okay. When in reality, it's not going to be okay. You need someone that's really going to be brutally honest with you, especially in those tough times. And especially if you don't have those strong couple people, like
Yeah.
Anthony said, it's going to be a lot tougher on you than for others. But
A
yeah.
lot tougher. And look, you need a support system, right? You can't do this on your own. uh Entrepreneurship, because I know we're talking specifically on entrepreneurship, but this really applies to everything. You can't do it on your own. You have to learn how to delegate, right? You have to learn how to give people jobs to help you, or not even jobs, but just to rely on people. The ability to trust people is huge. Like nobody makes it. Nobody has ever made it to the top alone. It doesn't exist. You
Yeah.
need people to help you and to guide you. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I've seen a lot of my friends or people that I know of kind of try to do it on their own because they think they're all that, and nobody else is as good as them, and they try to do it on their own. And a couple years later, I hear from a friend that they're not doing too well, or I look at their Instagram and they've lost it. It's unfortunate to see that the young kids that have already like started off on a wrong foot or potentially ruined their lives just because they want to try it on their own, and they get into the wrong friend groups, and the list goes on, Gabe. And I'm sure a lot of people that happen to that too. And to go off what you said, like take us as an example. I didn't decide to do this podcast on my own, and neither did Gabe. Like, we found each other. He is really good at my weaknesses, and I think I'm good at his weaknesses. Like, we're a perfect complement of each other. That's why this podcast is doing as well as it is, because we do this together, and it makes it a lot easier. So never try to do whatever you're trying to do on your own. Sure, you can try to do a podcast on your own, but you're gonna need support, right? What Gabe and I are doing here is that we're using each other 50-50, and we're reaching out to mentors of ours, or our family, to help us.
Yeah.
So we got the whole 9 yards. We got support systems, we got backbones, and we have each other to help each other.
Yeah.
So I mean, use your tools around you. Don't think that you can just do this on your own. Like Gabe said, and like I said in the beginning of this podcast, it's hard. It's hard. Once you get into it, you'll get what we're saying. You might not think so. You might just be seeing the glitz and glamour, but there's a long, curvy road between here and then millions of dollars. And I promise you, you can't do it on your own. So you need help. Reach out. Don't be, lose that ego that you have. We all had. I once had that ego. I learned quickly that I need to let it go and to be humble and ask for help. There are people that are willing to help you. You just have to ask. You lose nothing in asking for help.
Yeah. No, man. And to go off what you said about, those people trying to go at it alone, I was that person. I'm being 100% honest. Like, when I first started my first business back in high school, I thought I was going to be, a one-man show, do it all, everything. And I quickly learned as that business failed that wasn't the formula to success. And my next business that I started, um, I really took that into consideration. And today, where I'm at now, I'm so glad that I really, went through those mistakes and went through those failures, like we talked about, a while ago, because that really, taught me, look, you need a strong foundation, but not only do you need that, you need, a strong team around you to delegate, because, you're not good at everything. You need, like Anthony said, I'm good at what he's not good at, and he's good at what I'm not good at. I know that was kind of a twister there, but it's
Yeah.
it's basically what it is. You need to find people that are strong at what you're weak at, and
Yeah.
the faster that you're able to do that, the faster you're able to grow and scale. Because I also had a problem that I would spread myself too thin. I would be too nice to people. I'd be like, yeah, I can do that, no worries. Like, yeah, I would. In my mind, I'm like, I have no idea how I'm gonna do this, but I would always accept it, just because I was like, okay, this is how it's done. I have to, and I was quickly learning, but I wasn't doing the best job, So now, where I'm at today, I'm a little bit more careful when people ask me, hey, can you do this? I'm like, look, I can, but I'm not the best at it. I can recommend you to do this with someone
Right.
else, because I know and I'm confident that they can do a better job. But that's just the mentality you have to do. And a lot of people, unfortunately, another struggle that entrepreneurs have is that they're greedy, that they really want to take everything for themselves. And that's when that mindset of, oh, I can do it all, really comes in. I wouldn't say that mindset came to me because I was greedy. I think it was just lack of experience, if I may, because I really didn't know how to do anything at that time. But that's basically what it is. Everyone really wants to take, those greedy people, they want to take everything for themselves. But guess what? When it comes into the end, they're not going to have anything to their name, because of that very fact. So I think another big struggle that people, if you really want to get into entrepreneurship and you really want to do it at scale and be successful with it, you need to learn early on that you cannot spread yourself too thin.
Absolutely. And last thing that I'll say, we don't want to scare any of you. Entrepreneurship, I know Gabe can attest to this, is the best. All right. We understand that not everybody's made for this kind of lifestyle, and that's okay. I would rather you be 100% honest with yourself. It's the best thing. I mean, I can't see, like I said, working a 9 to 5. You know, you in entrepreneurship, you have 100% control of your life. You know, there's no limit to the amount of money you can make. It's literally endless, right? That's the benefit of being an entrepreneur versus working a 9 to 5. You're in 100% control of your own life, and that's what I love about entrepreneurship, Gabe. You do what you want, when you want, how you want it. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. Like,
Yeah.
you're in complete control. So yes, like we said throughout this entire podcast, there's a lot of struggles that you'll face. You're going to be lonely at times. You're going to want to quit several times. That's okay. But just know that that's part of being an entrepreneur. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode